Hello, morning people.
Hello.
It's funny.
Oh my goodness.
Our show comes out in the morning.
Yes.
But we never do it the same day. So it's like we're
Right.
doing this live with you in a real way.
Ooh,
So
I guess to start, we should give them our usual intro. Hello, ladies.
Hello, ladies.
Hello.
I'm Saeed Jones.
I'm Sam Sanders.
And I'm Zach Stafford, and you are watching and listening to Vibe Check.
Yeah.
Let the black queer vibes just wash over you. It's not appropriation if we let you do it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
This is our first live show with the three of us together.
Right.
And we're so happy to be here.
This is fun.
I got up and crossed the 10 before 9 a.m. That never happened.
Is that
That's a big deal.
road? A highway?
A highway. It's
Okay,
a
I don't live
highway
here.
and byway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Came in from the south side.
I bravely, because Fox News has warned me about Los Angeles, took a 5-minute Uber ride
Wow.
from my
That's
hotel.
Proud of
Brave.
you.
Yeah.
Strong, brave.
Yeah, past so many walks of fame stars on the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so we are three friends, a writer, a producer, a Tony Award-winning theater producer, by the way,
Yes.
an award-winning journalist, and we have a group text where we harass each other anyway, and then we decided that since Black queer culture is really the heart of culture, we really are an engine for ideas about what's going on, we decided to turn our group chat into a podcast where we talk about news, culture, and really how it all feels, right? Because I think y'all are smart. You know the what, you might know the who, you might even know the how, but the vibe of what's going on around us, I think, is something that people often want to have a conversation about. So to get that started, every episode we do a little vibe check-in where we talk about how we feel personally.
Yeah.
Let's start with, well, I really want to get into this. I want to start with you, Sam.
Okay.
How you feeling,
All right.
sister?
My vibe right now is still taking in that reel I saw on Instagram this morning of Beyonce at Taylor Swift's Eras Tour movie premiere.
Is this with the popcorn?
Throwing the popcorn.
Just down the street. Did anyone go to the Eras?
Do you all know, are you aware that the war between Taylor Swift and Beyonce is over?
They were never fighting.
That
We
was
were.
the treaty of
The treaty
Versailles.
has been signed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was watching this, and I've taken in all of the mind-boggling numbers around Taylor in the box office for this movie. It's set to make over $100 million in its first weekend. That's Barbie money, that's Barbie movie money. But to see Beyonce show up and support, it reminded me that my vibe the entire year has been the women will save us all. This year, in terms of pop culture, has just been women winning and keeping these industries afloat. Beyonce and Taylor saved the touring industry. Greta Gerwig and Barbie saved the movie industry. Olivia Rodrigo has all us old folks feeling young again.
You love her.
I love
so
her.
much.
I like that young lady, I do.
I really like her. But I think that the story of this year, at least pop culture-wise for me, has been the women, the women, the women.
I mean, it says something about the state of Hollywood, and I know we're going to talk about that it takes two pop stars
To
to
save
make
theaters.
big box office numbers.
Oh,
That's
yeah. Well, and it's what will they do next? Let's get a Taylor video game. Let's get a Beyonce video game.
Yeah.
Take over every sector of this industry. I want more of this. I didn't miss them in this year.
Do you have
I didn't
your-
miss them.
Wait,
Do
so
you have your tickets for Beyonce? For the
I do. I have 3
I do.
tickets.
I'm nervous. I'm going to see it at midnight. But then I realized I can barely handle it when people bring their children to see movies. And then I realized, I was like, there are going to be people dancing
And
in
singing.
the damn
In
aisles.
Chrome. In Chrome.
yeah.
Aluminum foil just wiggling around.
It's
gonna be
wait, so
great.
Sam, does this mean you're now a Swiftie? Do you identify with her
A
cult?
Swiffer jet.
I respect the hustle. I think that I have thought long and hard about the metaphysics of Taylor Swift, and I can't look away.
The metaphysics.
And I will say, from 1989, Clean will always get right to the core of my soul.
Okay.
Some of those songs just get you on the inside.
I like, what was it? I Knew You Were Trouble.
Yeah.
It's a
yeah.
bop.
It works.
I didn't know.
Anywho, my vibe.
That's your vibe.
Girls, girls, girls.
Girls,
That's it.
girls. We
Yeah.
love that.
Zach, what about you?
My vibe is I'm feeling hopeful, but a little, what's happening next. And I mean that because we're here at Bloomberg the day after, I guess we see news that SAG doesn't have a deal yet.
I was reading
Zach
Jessica
said, "No, not
Chastain's
yet."
statement this morning.
Yeah, which is wild. I thought we were going to be arriving and everything's going to be done. So, living in LA, like many of you, it feels like the strike is never ending. And you just get really confused at like, why can't these studios just make it work? But I'm hoping my friends can go back to work soon. I feel really bad for them as we literally sit in the middle of Hollywood. So
You're the most connected of the three of us in that regard. What are you hearing and what's next? Are there any predictions to be made, Zach?
I mean, I thought it was supposed to be done by Monday, but everyone keeps lying. But they've been saying that the whole time. It's like every week someone's like, I heard it's ending next week. It's ending next week. So I don't know. I think AI continues to be the existential threat to all of us. And I think actors have some complicated precedent set because certain studios have already scanned them. They're already using AI in movies. So, you know, we'll see. But I think what's happening here is, you know, something that will apply to all of us, all of our jobs, whether they're in entertainment, in publishing, in government, whatever. We're seeing that automation is taking over really fast. I mean, it's like you were even walking through the airport and ticket agents aren't even there anymore.
Yeah, that's my vibe. So I live in Columbus, Ohio. I kind of go back and forth between Columbus and New York. And let me tell you something. Getting to Los Angeles, yeah, I'm mad. I'm mad. Getting to Los Angeles, if you're not flying direct, it is difficult. I was supposed to fly on American Airlines. I thought I was cute. You know, capitalism be playing bald-headed games. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna buy my way out of oppression and upgrade to a first-class seat on American. You know, I was like, if I've got to make this journey, I'm gonna spend for it. And of course, I show up at the airport and they're like, we're missing parts. You know, it's gonna be a few hours. Next thing I know, girl, I am in the middle seat in coach.
The indignity.
On United Airlines. I said, the devil is alive.
And we are just grateful you persevered.
Oh my God.
Still you rise, you're here.
Girl, like Maya Angelou, still trying to rise. But what I thought was interesting, so at one point I'm like at the Denver airport.
Which is actually cursed.
Hell has so many circles.
Isn't the Denver airport where the Illuminati has the...
It has the horse with the evil eyes.
Yes. Have y'all heard this? The Illuminati's base is the Denver airport. Have you heard this rumor?
Felt like it.
It's like a deep rumor.
Felt like it.
Yeah.
But what I want to say that I thought was interesting, so I'm walking through United. I don't fly United very often. I don't know their customs and rituals. But I was trying desperately to get moved out of my middle seat. And I'm walking down this concourse. I passed what felt like, it must have been 6 or 7 gates of different flights, and they all have a countdown timer basically saying, you know, this flight's departing in 40 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. I just kept noticing, no gate agents.
Self-checkout.
Yes, and that's what I was like. I was like, these flights supposed to depart in 20 minutes. Wouldn't there be a gate agent? You know, no. And they were, but all the signs. You're right, Sam. Said, you know, download the United Airlines, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to turn the airports into CVS. Oh, it's going to be there. You know, like that experience. Yeah. So
your vibe is.
Scared, sure.
I have the happiest vibe this morning. I'm just happy about Beyonce and Taylor.
I mean, that's
I'm
all
already
we
getting
have.
ready to go see Olivia Rodrigo in Palm Springs in February.
Oh,
right, you
That's
are
where her
driving to the
tour
desert for her.
When is that?
February?
I could be persuaded.
That's, you know,
Look
Black
at me
History
already
Month,
being like,
why
I
not?
can think of a reason to come back
To
out.
come back here. Anywho, my vibe's good. Your vibe's so-so.
So-so.
Your vibe's gonna pick up.
A wink
I
and a
believe.
prayer.
We have a tiki bar in our future
Oh,
later
okay,
today.
let's go
We're gonna
to a
make it
tiki bar
work.
tonight.
Anywho.
Well, what are we talking about
Yes,
today?
those are our vibes. We're going to move into the meaty portion of the show. Each episode, we take on 2 topics. And the first is going to be geared towards kind of the future of media. I mean, as you can tell here at this conference, you care about that. Before we get to that, though, I want to tell all of you that if you have questions for us throughout this whole thing, you can send them to us. Any questions, feel free to submit them at the QR code that you see on the screen.
Oh.
There's also live polling as well. Scan that code and send us your questions. We'll see them on the screen. We'll talk to them, speak to them in real time. With that, shall we jump in?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Do it. We got the music.
Wow, y'all have the music ready. This is crazy.
We don't get this in a regular
Yeah, regular taping, it's like me, like
Regular
mainlining
taping,
coffee.
I am at the kitchen table
One of us goes
in
to
sweats.
the
We
restroom.
take a bathroom
few
break after the
minutes.
first segment. This
There's
is
no
gonna be
music. It's not very sexy.
profesh,
We're like, did you
profesh.
see Ricky Martin posted a new thirst trap? It's very exciting.
Or Lenny Kravitz.
He's single now. Good news for all of us, really.
All right, first topic. I want to hone in on a specific angle of the future of media, namely TV and movies. We watch a lot of TV and movies. We talk a lot about TV and movies and trends in TV and movies. And we're in this moment now, after Prestige TV, after peak TV, after peak Marvel, we're entering this moment of TV and movie contraction. And this was coming before the strikes began. We're just going to see fewer shows and movies. You know, last year there were some 599 scripted series created. Yeah.
Is that just in English? Is that?
Yeah, and that's not counting unscripted.
Oh.
There's just too much stuff to watch.
Oh, that doesn't count unscripted.
No,
Oh
bro.
my gosh, that is so
then you
many
said
mostly white people
600.
talking.
Almost 600. What'd you say?
You got it.
Wait, I didn't hear it. You have to say it again now. You have to say
Yeah.
it again.
What did you say? Repeat that.
Yeah, it's fine. You have to
Okay.
be there.
Okay.
Anywho, we're not going to talk today about what comes out of this. There's going to be fewer things, but we don't know what it's going to be yet. I want to talk about, in this moment of flux, with two voices I trust on this, is how our consumption will change. There's going to be fewer things to watch, which I think might be good, but we're also probably going to watch it differently. I'm already seeing two big trend lines. All these streamers are saying now, what if we just have people watch ads? To which I say, I grew up on commercials, I'm fine with it. But the other thing I'm seeing, and y'all noticed this last week probably as well, the powers that be behind Mean Girls posted that film to TikTok in 23 distinct chunks. Wow, interesting, new. I want to go there with y'all right now. In this new era of consumption, it's going to be different. How do y'all want it to be different? What do you want it to be? Let's start with the TikTok of it all. Would you ever watch a movie on TikTok? Saeed.
Yeah, well, Mean Girls, no, because I have taste. But
I love Mean Girls.
Wait.
It's quotable. It's
Not
quotable.
Tina Fey
I love that
took
for
a
you.
stray.
I've been watching Will and Grace Out of Order
Really?
on TikTok. And there's a British show with Sir Ian McKellen. What's it? So Vicious? Is Vicious?
yeah.
You know? There's a British, look this up, it's really fun. There was 2 seasons of this British TV show where Ian McKellen and another great British actor play a gay elderly couple that have been living together for 40 years. It's incredibly funny, but it was really short-lived. I can only find it on TikTok, and I've just been watching these clips out of order,
I want you
getting
to
my
tell
life.
me, how does that feel? Like, what is the viewing experience for you? Because just hearing you talk about it gives me heart palpitations.
Well, I mean, I enjoy it. I enjoy
Okay.
it. But the thing is, and I feel like this is kind of true with Barbie. So I feel like you see executives talk about Barbie, and they're like, the lesson from Barbie is we need more movies about toys. And it's like, that's not the lesson. The lesson is
The lesson's
you
women.
need to empower more women, femmes, queer people to have power to tell stories that we find interesting, right? Similarly, so when I watch these TikToks and clips out of order, I have such respect for the writing. Like these shows, like Vicious, that was on, I think 10 years ago. Will and Grace is what, 20 years ago? The writing is so good. Megan Mullally
You can take it in.
doing Karen, she works. You see her out of context in 15 seconds, and you're laughing and you're watching it again because the writing is so good and the performances from the actors are excellent.
Yeah.
So my lesson is, oh wow, we need to have great writer rooms.
Okay, well, because the great writing can be sustained in any platform.
It's like a poem. It can exist on its own.
I like that.
Yeah.
Zach, what's your take on this?
I mean, I think I have a complicated take because I've worked in media as an editor for most of my career. I moved into being a producer. And that bridge that got me there is I worked at this company called Grindr.
This company called Grindr, like they don't know.
I think I've heard of it.
Some of you may be on it today.
Little startup,
Familiar.
on
It's
its
a
way.
cooking app, right?
It's a cooking app. Yes, it's a cooking
Cooking
app.
something.
It grinds, cooking something, oh my God. But it's the world's largest LGBTQ dating app, but it's known for hookups. But when I was working there, I was brought in because they had ambitions to expand media. They're like, we do dating, we do sex, but we need to do more to go public and make more money. So they brought me in and I built a magazine there, I built a studio, and the whole purpose of it was all these people sit on Grindr all day long. I think it was 56 minutes a day, most users sit there. And they were like, they're not actually hooking up with a ton of people. They're like talking a lot. So let's give them something to do while they're focused on this other thing. And I bring that up because it reminds me of TV, because now people and executives are thinking of 2 screens when greenlighting films. They're thinking about, okay, they're on TikTok, what can we put on in the background? And Netflix is really excelling out of it. What do they call it? There's a term for it.
Background,
It's like
no.
background something.
Background viewing?
But
Something.
they're just kind of saying
Two-screen viewing. That is
two-screen
how I
viewing,
watch.
Yeah, and it's like how everyone's watching. So I do feel like we're missing something in the art of television making, filmmaking, because people aren't paying enough attention. But our audiences are wanting to look at lots of things at once. So how do we accommodate?
Well,
that as an
and,
interesting question?
and sometimes it feels so good. So I recently watched the Supermodels miniseries about
Oh, I watched a couple episodes.
on Naomi and all
Yeah.
them, and it was great. But I spent the whole time watching that 4-part series while Googling all of the events described in the series and looking up these models and their histories and these designers. And it felt strangely fulfilling because I was like buttressing the viewing with some real-time research.
Well,
I liked it.
I mean, that makes me think of, I love reading cultural criticism.
Yeah.
And it's like I have my highlighters, I have my pens, and I have my phone. Because, yeah, when, I love culture that can take you to other culture. That you're like, you're looking up a designer. But the thing is, it feels a little chicken or the egg to me. Like, no shade, but truth, so shade. If a Netflix executive says, oh, we've learned people enjoy doing other stuff while watching our shows, what's the takeaway? The takeaway is you need to create shows that demand, that earn people's attention and time. Yeah. I'm one of those people. If I'm playing Candy Crush while watching your show or movie, it's not exactly a compliment.
Yeah. Well, in this kind of a tangent, but hearing you talk about this, it's like creatives know this, writers know this, and increasingly the only space where you're going to get viewers' full attention is in a dark movie theater. Yeah. And I wonder if a lot of the prestige writing, quote unquote, is going to be moving towards movies in this new reality.
And live performances.
Yeah.
Concerts.
I mean, I would say concerts themselves have become really theatrical. As like someone that works in theater producing, I go to Beyonce's show, which I've been to 4 times.
You didn't go 4 times, you went 3 times.
You went 4 times, sorry. You went 3 times, I went 4, no, you went 4 times, I went 3 times, you went 3
Man
times.
of the people, I only went 2.
Yeah, only 2. But going to her show, going to Janelle Monáe's show that's touring, going to SZA's show, that is theater to me.
And that's when you're really locked in.
Yeah, you're really locked in. You know, all your attention is absorbed on how are they doing this? How is the scale of this production happening? And I would say, television isn't really giving us that right now. So people are like looking elsewhere.
Well, and in spite of these astronomical viewing numbers for Netflix and for TikTok, there's still a question of like how you monetize. Yeah. I know how a Taylor Swift show is monetized. I know how a Beyonce show is monetized. I don't know who's making any money when I watch Mean Girls on TikTok.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess because I also want to talk about like the Marvel thing that we were talking about yesterday. Yeah. What I will say about seeing clips out of order, shows like Jury Duty. I saw a lot of people who were like, I was seeing clips of the show, Jury Duty. I didn't know, and then I went to watch it. Bob Hart's Abishola, a CBS show. I fell in love with that because of TikTok. Fleabag. I've heard people talk about Fleabag forever. I finally watched both seasons. I just locked myself in after seeing a clip of a scene that was so arresting. I had to get the rest of the story. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's not that different, I think, from reading an article or, like I said, a poem, an excerpt from a book in a magazine. I think hopefully it takes you and you want to hear the story on its own.
What I think is great about what you're sharing and what people in the audience that are thinking about, oh shit, TikTok's gonna take away, my art making, my entertainment business, whatever, is that I met with TikTok recently, and some executives said there that they're not very interested in being a studio for creating their own work. They're really about marketing and driving traffic to your work. So this consumption that you're talking about is going to be really useful in the future for discovering, the libraries of, what was it? Fleabag was on Amazon. So it's like going to see the old stuff and seeing it in a new light. And TikTok's really supportive of that. So I don't think TikTok's a total evil in cutting up all this content because people are eventually driving to the linear experience.
Before we wrap this segment, I want to get back to the marvel of it all. We talked about consumption, but I want to just talk briefly about what we see more of and what we see less of in this contraction. There was an interesting piece a few days ago, I want to say from the Hollywood Reporter, all about how Marvel's TV ambitions are having to be kind of ramped down a bit because they were making too many TV shows and you can't sustain that. I think you're the Marvel head of the 3 of us.
I am.
How do you feel about that?
A sigh of relief, honey. It's been, and I saw how much longer are we gonna have to wait for Saeed to write a film or TV show? How much money you got? Let's talk after this. Find me in the green room. I breathe a sigh of relief. So the reason I realize I'm a Marvel head is that I love Greek mythology, and I'm reading Emily Wilson's translation of the Iliad. And what classicists
and live tweeting it. It's a beautiful
and live
thing.
tweeting. It's a whole thing. Find me on Blue Sky, darlings. But I thought it was interesting. I was listening to this classicist, and she said, as soon as the Iliad or the Odyssey were out and they were oral poems, people started remaking them. And I realized, I was like, oh, these are modern gods and everything. But I think what we're seeing with Marvel, they tapped into a really powerful idea. We need heroes, we want diverse heroes. But it felt like a cruise ship that just got away. So I hope this is an opportunity for them to kind of redirect. They were doing too much. It was getting too much.
The story of Marvel is the story of Hollywood the last 15, 20 years. what felt really cool and interesting and promising at the start got too bloated, too big, too IP focused, and folks are kind of exhausted by it now. So what I hope happens in this era of contraction is that Marvel's still there, but we get a little bit less of that, and I want a little more Reservation Dogs. I want a little more Pin 15. I want a little more I May Destroy You. And that's what I worry about. We had this moment in the tail end of peak and prestige TV where these studios were throwing a lot of money at really great creators from marginalized backgrounds and saying, go crazy. Like, you could not have I May Destroy You without that moment of everyone just spending some.
I mean, I would even put Fleabag as a part of that. I mean, that is
100%.
a wild kind of story.
My only fear as we enter this brave new, smaller world is that those things we see less of, but I sure hope not. I sure hope not. Anywho, I'm gonna give you final thought.
I mean, what I echo your fear because we saw it happen with media and publishing. You know, Saeed and I were editors. Well, we all worked in journalism at the peak of digital journalism. You know, Saeed was at BuzzFeed, I was at Grindr, I was at The Advocate, I was at BuzzFeed eventually, and we used to have crazy budgets. People could do we could send, I remember embedding teams of reporters into the caravans crossing Mexico to specifically talk about LGBTQ people. And we saw this proliferation of underrepresented populations being able to tell their stories in their own ways. And we're just not seeing that happen anymore as journalism continues to see tons of people laid off as a response to the rise of unions in that industry. So it's just been in the digital revolution kind of changing for them. So I worry that Hollywood, to your point, is not going to be giving opportunities to the next Michaela Cole because they're like,
they'll revert to the mean.
Yeah.
Speaking on that, we have one question from the audience. Thank you for it. It says, worried about AI as it relates to this diversity in media convo. And I will say I am worried because at its default, AI kind of pushes to the mean. You know, like the default AI face on TikTok or the default AI script that it writes centers the norm. It centers the mainstream. And AI is never meant to be niche. It's meant to be the average and the mean. So I think if we become more reliant on that to make content, it's not going to be showcasing the margins. It's not meant to do that. That's what I worry about. But
I agree.
If y'all have takes on that.
And it also feels, someone tweeted the other day that there was some viral AI that went, AI art that went viral, and people could tell it wasn't real because they said it had no soul, and it was of certain celebrities. And like the lack of soul, I think that's, in those moments I look at AI.
You read my mind.
Yeah, I was like, we as humans are special. There is something specific about our experiences and how we view the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think AI, like, you know, anyone, whatever you're doing, whatever your industry is, you need to pay attention to the landscape. You need to understand that your context is dynamic. You know, don't be lazy. Don't have such a narrow focus. That said, no, I'm not. I'm not worried.
Okay, tell me more.
Yet.
Okay.
Because of Soulfulness. Because yes, the AI is going to, and all of the other, I mean, you know, the reboots, all of these things that have been the boogeyman under the industry's bed. It happens, you know, at one point it was video games. At one point it was TV. At one point, people, you know, would write about TV as it was the worst thing that would ever happen.
It was iTunes at one point.
But Soulfulness always comes through. So we might not know what it, I mean, before I May Destroy You happened, or before Chewing Gum, or before Pin 15, or these, you know, great shows, Fleabag, you know, that we look at like, oh my gosh, or Killing Eve, you know, we didn't see them coming. We couldn't imagine them, but we know what it feels like when we're seeing it. I think Soulfulness and great story. The best thing about all of this is, for all the anxiety and jitters, all you need to do is focus on excellence in storytelling. That's all you need to do, because it's connected to us and like it's in our DNA. You know what I mean? And so a great story, I think, will always resonate. And frankly, it might be easier to identify if it's surrounded by a bunch of middling, mediocre, computer-generated stories.
And a great story is going to work on any platform. It's going to work because it's a great story.
And a story also has to be authentic. I mean, to tie it back to Miss Taylor Swift as she reigned supreme this weekend at the box office, that movie feels exactly what Taylor Swift would make. It's about her, her fans. Her premiere was all of her fans. That feels like her authentic self, and there's continuity there. So I think people need to tell exquisite, extraordinary stories, but do it from a place that is authentic and relates to yourself.
Authenticity. On that note, we're going to pivot to our next topic,
This
which
has been
feels
so thoughtful and
inauthentic.
smart. And I hope
Now-
you learned
yeah.
some things. Let's get fucking messy, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
Zach,
talk about Jada and Will.
Zach, take it away.
Let's
I will-
doing it.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
It's funny, you're making this joke, but as we were like,
Right when the caffeine kicks in.
we were waxing poetic about art, and I'm like looking at my notes, and I see
Soulfulness.
Will Smith and Jada
Authenticity.
Pinkett Smith. Wow.
Let's get entangled.
Yeah, let's do it. So, to kick us off on this next segment, we are going to talk about breaking news yesterday out of the Today Show.
Broken news.
Broken news.
Lower third.
Broken. Yeah. So yesterday, if you have not been following, news broke during an interview, a clip of an interview that comes out on Friday with Hoda on the Today Show, that Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith have actually been separated since 2016. They are still married. They are still together. They do not want to get a divorce, but they are not living together and have separate lives. This news comes as Jada Pinkett Smith begins her book tour for the book Worthy. It's her memoir, so this makes sense that she's revealing a lot. And this is just one story in a cascade of stories about the Pinkett Smith family and their marriage. And to kick us off, I'd like us to really dive into why is it we and Will and Jada are so obsessed with their marriage and all we talk about.
I don't know why I'm obsessed, but I will say, gosh, they're really good at this. They're
very
so
good at it.
good at it.
But you're excited about this news.
Everything they tell me, I'm like, tell me more. Every red table, I'm like, can I have a place setting? Every interview, I'm like, could I hold the mic? It is, equal parts craven and fascinating to see two very real people use their very real relationship in such cunning's too harsh of a word, but cunning way.
Yeah.
It's cunning.
What I think is interesting about Will and Jada, one, I think it's genuine, right? Like, I don't think they're, like I said, like, like the soulfulness, this is how they are. And look, I've gotten to interview Jada twice.
Oh, that's
and
right.
This is, and her mom and her mother.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful people. This is just how they are. They're very candid. I'll never forget Jada. And I think she told me during a commercial break, during the interview, she was like, I hired tutors to focus on sexual education for both of my children.
Really?
Yes, they each, both Willow and Jaden, each
Yeah.
had tutors, and I was like, okay, you on some new shit. This is a different level. But what I want to say is, what I think is interesting about the Smith family saga is we are so saturated with reality television, and we have such a awareness of it. They've done something genuine, but I think savvy. It's a reality TV without the
thing.
TV show.
Well, and that's where I get confused.
it's kind of
because,
existing around it.
Yeah,
it makes
'cause,
it
like-
more, I think it makes it more interesting.
But I see Will at the red table crying from a few years ago, and I'm like, oh, that's very real. But then I see the calculated rollout of this book, and that is very
Yeah.
calculated.
Yeah.
I can't make peace with it. It feels weird. I don't want to say icky, but I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about it.
How does it make you rethink history, though? So the slap. I was rereading the news today, and I was like, wait a minute. Jada back then said, hey, when this happened, I thought it was a skit. Will got up, slapped, and I was like, there's no way this is real. And then when he came back, I could tell that something had gone wrong. And I remember thinking back then, like, wait, how did you not know this would be a skit because you wrote over together,
Wouldn't your
you
husband
lived together.
tell you?
But if you take in the context now that they don't even live together, they probably a car picked them both up and took them. I'm like, that changes how I think about the slap a bit. So
And
what
there's
about
further
you?
context as well. In the interview, Jada also talked, or I think a different interview for the book, she talked about how when people had heard that they were separated, Chris Rock reached out and asked Jada out on a date. And Jada was like, what you mean?
These people are so messy.
And then
I
Chris
love it.
Rock was like,
I love
well, I
it.
heard you're getting divorced. And she was like, get away from me. So I wonder when and how that was happening around the time of the slap. All this to say, there are so many threads of drama coming out of this.
I mean, I think, the reason we've always been interested in reality TV or things in that genre is, we need a distraction. We need to say, at least someone is a little bit messier than I was today. I think that's important. But also we're in this moment, and it's really funny seeing people be like, oh, they're so gross, why are they telling them? I'm like, look, y'all get on there, your child isn't even 2 years old, and you've already created a TikTok account for the little baby. We're all
doing it.
figuring out how to live in public in a way that's not, very clean. And so I don't know, why would they be any different?
True. I mean, I will say it's in some moments I wonder, I don't ever feel sorry for people that rich and famous, but I do acknowledge, gosh, that must be hard.
Yeah.
Because some moments of your relationship you want to be extremely private, like a separation or a divorce.
Yeah.
And they have built a life where that has to at some point, be public. That's hard.
Yeah.
And I guess my hat's off to people who are in a big public eye that can keep their personal life really private. It's harder than ever now, but those that can do it, I commend you. I commend you.
And this news comes in a moment in which celebrity divorce is like the hottest thing.
Oh my God.
It's like Ozempic, celebrity divorce. So the two things running hot.
How do they
right now.
coincide?
And it's like what? And some of them go together. And
Get a new man, get a new body.
yeah, really change your life. But Will and Jada are doing it differently. Everyone else is divorcing amicably, Hugh and his wife, et cetera, et cetera. But they're saying, hey, we're gonna be together forever, but just live separately, which for me makes them like maybe, and this is gonna be crazy, the queerest couple in Hollywood, because they're reimagining the institution in a way that makes me uncomfortable. Because last night I was talking to my partner about it, and I was like, they should get a divorce. They should get a divorce. And I feel that way because I grew up with them. I remember when they first started dating.
Yeah.
They feel
And that's
like
a huge,
parents
that's
to me.
also part of why people have such strong.
We've known them our whole lives.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So how do you think they are really rattling the cages of people in our families, the straight people that look up to them and look at their marriage and be like, wow, they're doing it differently?
I don't know what straight people are doing except getting on my nerves. So I don't know what straight people are getting. I mean, I like the idea. Like I said, like Jada and in the conversation with her mother, or talking about how she raised her kids and candor and valuing relationships. I think there's an opportunity to learn. I do. I also think it's funny. So 2016 they've been separated, but they're still together. Yeah. That's 2016. That's like America and democracy. We're separated, still living under the same roof.
As go Will and Jada, goes the nation.
But yeah, I think it's I think you can find value in anything if you want to, that there's a lesson if you decide. And yeah, maybe one of the lessons are like maybe we need to think of different structures in which we can have relationships. Because clearly marriage in a very conventional way, I think we can agree, is not maybe the sturdiest structure.
And also for me, it's just like, don't ever think that anyone is better than the odds. We know the odds of marriage and divorce. And no matter how these celebrity couples can parade their lives, they experience the same hardship that everyone else experiences. And like, marriage is hard, relationship is hard. And like, these things can come asunder, if that's the right word. I guess for me, it's just like, I don't know how to feel when like you have Joshua Jackson and Jodie Turner-Smith in the midst of a J. Crew campaign all about their marriage.
Damn, Jada, Joshua. Okay.
Well, it's same
Separate my
thing.
messes. Separate my messes. Okay.
I was watching their J. Crew campaign where they're together and loving each other, and then they're divorced. That's the weird thing. Like, I wonder if this year of celebrity breakup and divorce has celebrity couples in the future being a bit more wary about how much they show off the couple of it all.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Maybe that would be good.
Because unless you want to go all in.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's interesting to me, I don't take it too personal. Again, maybe I'm a poet, I'm an essayist, so again, I'm thinking of this in kind of a literary way. Celebrities are people, but in terms of how I generally experience them, they're symbols.
Yes.
They're symbols. They're brands, but they're symbols. And so to me, I think that kind of sense of distance, I think, is a little bit more helpful, because then it's not like you're taking it personal.
Do you think they're helpful symbols, though? Do you think we should be taking notes from very wealthy, powerful people in entertainment whose relationships sometimes are not even real? They're just meant to, further the business. Should we be looking to them for these things?
I think the lessons. Okay, I'll give you an example. Tina Turner.
Yeah.
The Tina Turner documentary is really incredible. If you watch it, you should. I think it's on HBO Max.
It is.
Whatever
It's on Max. Yeah.
Okay. Tina Turner, published the memoir about her, about many things, but in part about the abuse that she endured under Ike Turner, right? And then she would keep getting asked questions, and she just felt like she was trying to run away from the questions. And then the movie happened, and she was like, hopefully the movie will put it to rest. And then she realized it. And she said towards the end of her life that she actually regretted it. Because what Tina came to realize, her opinion was, oh, you open that box, you don't get to close it.
That part.
I thought I could write the book, write my tell-all, or do the movie and, have the actor I approved and control, but you can't. And so I think one of the lessons that I've seen from celebrities, and, I'm not at that level don't want to be, is like, yeah, we need to think about, are you ready for the fallout?
Because it doesn't end.
It's not going to end with your TikTok. It's not going to end with your tweet. It's not going to end with your viral personal essay.
go.
These things tend to get away from you.
Yeah.
That seems like a valuable lesson.
I like that. And Sam, I want to know from you, because I know you have lots of thoughts on marriage as an institution.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider to be in this type of marriage, one that is never ending but separated?
I have a lot of clarifying questions.
But the structure of them, would you ever?
It's all about the structure of the
What's
prenup,
that
baby.
line? But what's that line from Fleischman is in Trouble?
Oh, you can get divorced, but you'll always be married.
Yes.
Like, you don't leave it.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I think for me, it's just like acknowledging that people will change over time and shift over time, but like, how can I build a life with someone or apart where I'm not setting us up for a battle?
Yeah.
I have a friend who's dating a guy who was great, but he has already spent 7 years and $2 million on his divorce.
What? $2 million?
To which I say,
Wait, back up. He's dating a person.
yes, but he's still figuring out his divorce with the mother of his 2 children.
Divorces are expensive.
That's why I'm just like, given what we now know about the world and how things work, get married if you want to, but who out here is not getting a prenup at this point? That's my answer to your question.
That's your answer. Prenups will
Prenup.
everything.
Yes.
That's a good point. Because
What's your answer?
reasonable.
Yeah. Say it.
Damn it. Yeah. I mean, I think. Look, the history of marriage, it's contractual.
The financial contract.
And frankly, it's actually a pretty sexist institution. Marriage was for most of human history, marriage has been used to control women and to take power away from them.
and
Only
to
in
make
the
them
last
property.
100 years has maybe marriage started to mean something different generally.
Yeah.
And then here come our cute queer selves trying to figure things out. So I think it's a behemoth. I don't know, but a prenup makes sense.
Sure does.
It does feel like
Sure
it's production.
Seems healthy.
It does.
Yes.
I am the child of divorce. Am I the only child of divorce?
Child of
You're child of
divorce.
divorce too. I'm a child of a few divorces. My
Oh,
mother had a
okay.
few.
Oh, right, you got a white mom. White
yeah,
moms
I
love a
hope-
divorce, don't they? They do. And I love that for them.
I'm very familiar with divorce, and whenever my friends now who have children and come to me and they're like, should we leave? Should we stay? What about the kids? I come from like a place of trauma where I'm like, leave, break up.
'Cause the kids can
let it
tell.
go. Yes. Like, why are we masquerading around like things are good when things aren't great? And that's where I think I struggle. And I've been so surprised I've struggled with the Will and Jada stuff because I don't know them like that. Like, they are not my friends, but I think they just remind me so much of my family. They're such
Yeah.
a liberal black family.
I'm just waiting for someone to type, should I get divorced?
That said,
divorced.
send us your
Ask.
questions. The
Waiting
QR
for
code will
it.
come back up. We're still taking
Scared.
questions. We still have some time. Yeah.
But I think I'm responding from a traumatized place of like, oh, I grew up in divorce. I know the pain of it, just let go. But again, to your point earlier, we have to be careful what we project onto celebrities.
Well, so that's interesting because what it brings to mind is that, and I guess this applies to other things too, but like I guess I would say marriage is not neutral. It is not a choice between staying married or creating chaos. So because of the way all this works, we generally don't know what's going on in other people's lives unless there's like some announcement. And in the case of celebrities, it's a breakup, it's a divorce, it's a separation. But to your point, people staying together privately, it's not neutral. It doesn't necessarily mean things are happier or healthier.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen all kinds of people stay in situations that are not
Totally.
great or productive because they're scared of the change. But I think sometimes that change is painful but necessary.
I want to, if we can, because we still have about 6 minutes on here. Could we show them the last little tidbit of our episodes with our recommendations?
Love it.
So at the end of every Vibe Check episode, we recommend something that we're consuming to help keep your vibe right, and we share it with folks. I think it'd be fun to do that this week.
it.
Here?
Yeah.
Done? All right.
I'll get us started.
Do it.
I have two. First of all, Travis Kelce, beards, they work. Bring it back,
my
friends.
I just shaved my
Wait,
beard
Back,
off.
man.
I just
It's
went to
fine. You're
mustache.
fine. You got a
Okay.
different face structure, baby.
Okay.
You got a
Thank
different
you.
face structure. Travis,
He likes
Girl,
my
you have
face
to
Travis,
structure. Oh my
listen, Taylor's having too good of a time. She's not going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you.
You don't
Bring
like
that
his
beard back.
mustache?
He looks like an officer. Are you a football player, or are you trying to, arrest me for driving while black Travis? Bring the beard back. You're much more handsome with that beard, young man. Secondly, my recommendation, since I was talking about mythology and the Iliad, the Iliad's been translated recently by Emily Wilson. It's a new translation. It just came out. It's really cool. It's really good. But what I want to tell you is that the audiobook is narrated by 6-time Tony Award-winning actor Audra McDonald.
Come on.
It is so good. It is so good just to hear Audra McDonald kind of, first of all, doing those epic voices and talking about war. It's awesome. It's riveting. Hector was really hot, and you'll understand it when you reread it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, wait,
Yes.
I saw your tweet about Hector.
A man.
Yeah, a man. Yeah.
What's your recommendation? sir?
My recommendation is the show Naked Attraction.
You in this show.
I'm breaking it up.
I started and had to
A
stop.
poet friend of mine who I think he might listen to is watching it too, and he loves it.
It's amazing. Okay, so has anyone watched the show?
Raise your hand. Reveal yourself.
It's okay. Safe space. Yes.
All right.
There we go.
We live in
Yes.
community.
Yes.
He
Okay.
put his head down as he raised
They were like,
his hand.
it's okay. Well, why I think it's okay for us to talk about is I used to watch this show on Pornhub.com. And I say that with all the pride in the world.
I love how you
Explain the show.
.com.
Yeah, .com. And the reason why I was
Some
on
people are like, what are we
talking
kind of
about?
morning session is
So the
this?
reason why I was on Pornhub.com is that it's a show made out of Britain, and it's a dating show. And each contestant comes on, and they are given 6 people in front of them who are fully naked. And throughout the show, it reveals more and more of their body.
They kind of
Like the curtain goes
It's like
up
they stand in a
slowly.
cube and
Yeah.
it's slowly
And they
coming.
spin
It slowly
around
goes
and
up.
you see it
And
all.
I know I was talking about this at a dinner last night, and everyone was like, "Oh, they must censor it." No, girl, they keep that camera right there on, and you get to learn about anatomy in the most interesting way. I really am like, every person is different. They all look different.
Well, there's one guy in the first episode who has an elephant tattoo on his
Oh,
Genitalia.
my.
private parts that make it seem as if his penis is
Oh,
the
we
trunk.
got it.
Yeah.
Saying.
Good morning, Los Angeles. Wow.
Saying.
Yeah.
But it's
We were there.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
were there.
I started to watch it. I made it 20 minutes and was like, I think I'm good. You were still watching it?
I'm obsessed with it, but I also like go around and pick the gay episodes because gay men are so shallow. Like right when that curtain lifts, I'm like, I know exactly where they're going right here. Where straight people like really, especially like women on there, are so thoughtful and nice. Straight men, awful too. It just really tells you a lot about gender and sexuality and how people are thinking about.
Well, so the poet that was talking to me about it the other day, he said his favorite part are the clothing reveals.
Yes.
I haven't watched the show
Yes.
because I'm a lady, but what are the clothing reveals?
The clothing reveals is at the end, or when you're voted off, they show you dressed. Because what I love about this as someone that studied women's studies in college is that gender and sex are different. And clothing, the choices you consciously make every day, how I got ready today was to express a certain type of gendered identity, which is very different than what I was born with. And that's what the show's showing you, is that like you can be attracted to things that people are born with, but how does that change when you see the gender?
And how they
they
choose
express.
to present.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because you see you hear their voice at the end too. So that's usually.
Oh, you don't hear them talk.
No, you don't hear them
Not
talk.
until they're dressed.
This is
Yeah.
very Little Mermaid.
Yeah, it's
anyway.
very Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
I'll watch
Ariel,
it.
Yeah.
Sam, what about you?
I want to recommend a new album by the indie rapper called No Name.
Oh,
We love
good
No
album.
Name.
It's called Sundial, and the story of this album is quite interesting. No Name crashed onto the scene in like 2016 and was just critically acclaimed and amazing, like phenomenally talented. But then she left music to go be an activist. She became a Black Lives Matter activist and said, I'm going to be in the struggle for a while it feels right. For about 2 or 3 years, if not longer, she was an activist. And then she said, okay, I'm ready to come back to music. Let's do it. She worked with some amazing jazz artists, really great
What's
soul
the song I
artists.
like, Bum Bum? It's like
Yeah,
it's an
it's
up-tempo
upbeat.
jazz.
Yeah,
It's
but
good.
she made this album where she is calling out everybody. She's calling out consumerism. She's calling out hypercapitalism.
Calls out Jay-Z,
She
Beyonce.
calls out Jay-Z and
Super Bowl.
Beyonce and Kendrick, and it works. It is really refreshing to see an artist this clear-eyed and this good at music
Yes.
in the industry right now today. Also, if you like jazz,
Yeah.
Yes.
if you like bossa nova, you'll like this album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No Name, Sundial.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, No Name is one of those rappers, and I don't use this lightly, where I see it, like listening to her lyrics remind me of the relationship between hip hop and poetry.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that it can be
Yes.
a rich and vibrant relationship. Like
Yes.
her writing is and delivery is immaculate.
Oh, yeah.
She's brilliant.
Oh, yeah. Check it out. It'll be a palate cleanser after you watch naked and shit on HBO.
Naked show. Oh my God, I'm feeling so shamed.
no.
Wait,
Good
my
show.
last question, would y'all ever do Naked Attraction?
No.
Oh,
I would.
well, I would be a contestant. I'd get up there and judge, and
I mean,
but-
because you get to.
At
Is
the
everybody
end-
naked?
So at the end,
Not the-
after you've judged everybody, you have to reveal yourself.
Oh, see, no.
Dun dun dun.
No,
And
no,
then
no,
they
no,
get
no.
to choose whether or not to be.
This is not a democracy, darling.
Yeah.
This is benevolent fascism right here.
On
No,
that
no,
note, we have 38 seconds left. I think we just want to thank you all
Yeah,
for
thanks for
being
coming to
here
hang out with
for this
us.
Vibe Check Live show. If you like what you heard, we have a podcast that publishes every week on Wednesdays. Besides the three of us talking, sometimes we interview people as well, and it's quite fun. So yeah, on behalf of the ladies, thank y'all.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming to hang.